Right. I did this some months ago, just a farm in Kent with an Oast House. These Oast Houses were used for drying hops for beer making, but they're not needed now, and most of them are converted into very nice houses, homes. Kent is the garden of England, but being in the southeast, it's very heavily oversubscribed with people being near the continent. And this is quite a bright day, but I've been on a bike ride this morning and the weather was mild but overcast. And I do like overcast skies because you have to hunt for the light. So I've been asked several questions over the past couple of days. Do I work from reference material? Well, yes, I do, but I don't copy it. I'm not going to do a copy of this. I'll do something akin to it, but all my pictures are paintings rather than copies of anything. They're approximate, and that's how I like it. I don't like to do commissions for houses and so on, because I'd lose the freedom to do what I want to do with it. Also, I was asked about these brushes. These are excuse me, Daler Rowney brushes, long flats. It's a long flat, short flat, that one. I bought these for the watercolour demonstrations. In particular, the inch flat, you can use a 3/4 one, which does both really. Does all the masts, very fine mast lines. Trees, I use this one, or both of them, for the silver birches acrylic. But they're made for acrylic painting, but they're very good for watercolour. The thing is, with acrylic painting, as with oil, you have to make sure that you clean all the paint and mediums out from this part of the brush here. Otherwise, it will eventually split through there, and you'll never get a straight line, and you've wasted a £7 brush. So be very scrupulous with your brushes. And also, do I draw a design first? Which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Here I've got a piece of hardboard. I'll explain what this is because you don't all watch every video. I think in America it's called a masonite. It's got a rough side, a machine rough side, which is the bottom, and you've got the smooth side. It's good for evening up floorboards, old floorboards, particularly in England or UK, where our floors are not continental. They are usually covered up with other surfaces like carpets or laminate floors. And what I do is to get a very coarse sandpaper, give it a good rough up, and paint it with an acrylic varnish or acrylic PVA glue. And it's got a nice tube on it, so it all dries very quickly. I'll put that back on there. You don't need to tint the board as if it were a white piece of paper or a piece of canvas. The thing about this is that it's a mid-tone, and of course when you paint light or dark on mid-tone, you get a pretty accurate representation as to how it's going to look in the painting finished. But if you're painting on a white surface, of course you would tend to paint too light, because whatever you put on would look too dark by comparison to or contrast to the white. So this one I'm not going to put any marks on to start with. I'm going to, because it's going to be a big sky and a low horizon, I like skies, I'm going to use a bit of this KY jelly that a subscriber recommended. I've used it in the last couple. Personal lubricant, well, it has other uses in acrylic painting, so I'll put a bit out there. It helps the drying speed, it slows the drying speed down of the acrylic. Especially in the early stages of a painting, it's a good idea to be able to do that, so you can blend the skies while the painting is still a bit moist. I'm waiting for a delivery of a tub of about half the size of that, which is 750 mils, of texture paste, acrylic texture paste, which you can also mix with your paint, but it'll thicken the whole thing up so you get a nice oil looking impasto. And of course, with acrylic painting, you can't, when it's dry and finished, you can't tell the difference between it and oil. You'd have to analyse it chemically to prove it. But unless you're going into the forgery industry, it doesn't really matter, does it? But if you paint an acrylic, you shouldn't call it oil. If you sell it, you should call it acrylic. Right. Okay. So let's sort out the sky. We'll have a nice sunny sky. It is spring after all. My palette is very simple. Yellow ochre, lemon yellow, light red, alizarin crimson, burnt umber, and black. That's my basic palette. Nothing else but those colours. If you want to add your own colours, you do what you like. I'm just doing what I do, and I change my... Well, I don't normally change my base colours, that's my basic palette. With watercolour, I would add burnt sienna, which with the alizarin using, there's a distinct difference between it and the light red. But the ones I'm using, light red and the burnt sienna, are pretty much the same. Lemon yellow rather than cadmium yellow, because I mix my greens with the black. But you work it out for yourself. There's no right or wrong way to do things. If it looks right, then a bit of clouding, then it is. A bit of, just to show there's some cloud coming up here. I'll mix a little bit of the KY jelly in with that. Just any hairs, just take them off. Oops. Just build up in general. I'm not sure I like mixing the black with the blue, and the red, which I did then. It doesn't. It's a bit of a. But you can. Let's put in some light now. A bit of sienna. Sorry, ochre. Bit of light red. Nice cloud on the horizon. Because that's where you want a bit of a contrast between the light sky and the landscape, light against dark. Now I'm using the jelly, oops, go away. So that light red is my basic sky colour, my cloud colour anyway, with the sienna, but you don't want it too strong. And then we'll put some more up here. Nice wispy sky. And all the time you're putting paint on, you're thickening the layer of paint on the support, which is what you want to do, because eventually you can drag over it and it'll hit the high spots and you get that lovely sparkle. When I get the texture paste, maybe that will do it. Now a good cloud shadow. There's a bit of blue and alizarin on the blue side. Oops. It's a nice warm cloud shadow. Let's remember just to dip the brush into the retarder. I call it retarder because that's what it is. Let's get some shadow down there. This is I'm just killing what we call killing the canvas. Just putting paint over all the board, knowing that it's all going to be changed. But you can see some of this mid-tone background showing through the paint. Just keep the brush nice and clean. Have a swig of my tea. Us Brits love our tea. Right, now we'll go in with some lighter stuff on the horizon here. So, yellow ochre. You use a lot of white with oil painting and acrylic painting because we're painting on a mid-tone. The white is our lightest colour. In watercolour, it's the white of the paper. A nice tree going up here, oak tree. Now we're blending a little bit here. Using that retarder. Now Kent is quite a hilly county, especially on the coast near Folkestone and Dover. Oh, lovely. I don't really hold the brush at the end like that and sit back and just, well, you can do, but I like to be close up to it. I can always move back anytime I want to examine. Oh, I know. Oh, I'm quite liking that. That's, clouds are never white. They look white by contrast to the blue sky or the clouds, the shadows of the clouds. But there are lots of colour in them, and you have to look for it. If you hold a blank sheet of white paper up against the sky or against the white clouds, you'll see just how much light there is actually in them. Right, back in the cloud, the shadow colour. I used to knock up my cloud greys with light red and ultramarine, but it does seem to be a bit cool. But I want to put in some more light now, some thicker impasto. Well, at least build up a sort of an impasto. See where I get carried away. Now, when the paint underneath is not quite dry, you can easily drag it off inadvertently, like there, and end up with a hole in your sky or wherever you're painting. So we'll just, when it dries, you can go back over it. But I want to keep it all soft and blended. And try not to repeat yourself. It's very easy to do regiments and not, it's like a psychological thing. You get carried away, you think, oh, that looks nice. And then you do another one, then you do another one. And before you know where you are, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So, be careful of that. I'm not trying to rush this. I just enjoy doing it, and eventually I'll quit. Let's get some of that bluey colour back in. Right, that's might have dried a little bit there. A bit of a hole in that, so let's go back and do something about that. I've got a hole in that little acrylic I did Saturday, the Welsh Hills. And I'm going to have to sort that out. Okay, I have to put some light on the horizon now, light red and white. Right, that's very thin surface. So now we'll put in a bit of a background across. I always work from back to front, top to bottom. So I'm mixing up a background colour, predominantly blue. So just to show some distance behind the tree that I'm going to put in. I'll come down quite a bit. I don't want to make a rough of my own back with the field that I did before when I painted the watercolour. But whatever you do, you can quickly change. And we're coming into the tree. I'll put stuff in front of that. Like some of that. And with some over here. This is just the background. This stretches my landscape back into infinity, I hope. Try to get that side. Well, I'm going to put the big trees here, and the houses, the Oast House in front here, the outbuildings. Excuse me when I'm not speak. It's still not bright enough, but it's dry. So with my 1/2 inch blue, I'll use a bluey grey. On the red side, let's put in these are in sort of silhouette. I'll put a bit of a chimney pot up there, on there, bit of dark. Ooh. I might change that, but it's we can put a slightly lighter bluer roof on there, I think. Put some light on the top of that. Okay, let's put in a bit of the Oast House now. We'll put that in the blue and red, a bit of white. I'm going to put some shrubby things in front of this. Remember, you can change right, that's just the basis, so that will get changed. Because as I build up the colour on them, so behind. Right, that'll change. Okay, that looks a bit naff at the moment. And maybe that a cow, these catch the wind and allow the wind to come into the, or well, however they work. I've never been inside one. Right, let's put in some background sort of trees, shrubby trees, a bit of red and the greens. So as all this, the paint hardens, which is quite quick, you can just keep going over it. But I want to put lots of lights in front of that. Don't like that brush. Aha. Let's try this. This is another flat that I've got that's a bit slightly random. There's a bit of blue in with that. Let this be pushed back a bit. Let's just kill that. Right. Back with my other, architectural flat. Let's, there's some shadow in there. I'm looking for my stipple brush, which seems to have run away. Could be there somewhere in the mess. That's probably it. Right, let's put in some bits of warm. Oops, oh, look what I've done. Messy job. Spring day. I'm covering that up. Let's quickly put in a field colour. Right across there. Just build up a paint surface. Bit of umber with the white. Keep it soft on the top there. Keep everything soft. Black and red coming into the foreground here. Bit of the jollop, keep it flowing. I'm just covering up all the unpainted stuff, and I can I can texture all this. As I build up the impasto, and I'm mixing the red, a bit of white, so dark, you want plenty of dark in the foreground. Red's very good because you can put light greens around it and they will sing a complementary colour to red, but I don't want brilliant red, I just want a red underpainting-ish to show the Kent soil. So just building up. Just glazing over with that jelly. Just covering up. Right, have a cup of tea. So that's the basic painting done. So now I want to concentrate more on a bit of the background and then put the houses back. I'm not happy with the shapes, they're very simple shapes, but I don't want them to stand out too much in the landscape. So let's go back and get my trees, my background trees in. Soften. Get that dry. Still a little bit tacky there. Now I've got a hedgerow sort of going across the landscape, across the across here. So going up towards the tree, so let's just let's use one of these flats here. Now, a bit of yellow ochre, a bit of green, maybe a little bit of red, a lot of white. Let's start to brighten it up a little bit. See, for lights to show, you've got to have them against darks. Okay. Just little touches. I've got to cover up a lot of this with that oak tree, but I just want to give you some idea of the way I'm going here, because I'm far from happy with it at the moment. But I'm just dragging over that. But acrylic painting is very, very exciting. There's a bit of ploughed field here, just showing bits where it catches the light. You can keep doing this. Let's have a different angle to that. We're covering hundreds of acres of ground here, in reality. So I'm creating a surface underneath of this, of little tiny dots of paint that will, hopefully when I drag over it later, it will just leave, the paint will just hit the high spots, but we're quite away from that yet. Right, so another brush. Some grey now. When I finish these on the boards, I put a coat of or two of acrylic varnish, just household varnish. Well, these are just bits of flint and stuff that's been ploughed up. Now, in the hedgerow, which I shall put in, I might put some poppies on in the edge coming up here, because that's where you will get poppies in newly ploughed ground, but put a bit of, oops. Right, so that's so far so good. Let's a nice dark come up in there. That's where our tree's going to go, or one of them. Nice and thick. We'll have a slightly bluer one behind. Oh dear, terrible. We have a job to do that with oil. So we've got spring greens, so the light's coming from there. We'll and a bit of blue. Blue on that side. Oh, that's the basis of that. We can put some more slightly blue all on this hedgerow. Well, they would be, yeah. By the time I put these come up, like there's we'll imagine there's a road behind there, a farm road. Try and get a pleasant shape around there. And same over here, we'll get some blues in there. Okay. Okay. More tea. I think maybe we will call this part one, because this is going to take quite a bit of time, because we've got all this to do and we've got all the modelling to do in the field here. But before we sign off for the day, which has been nearly an hour, let's just put in some meat on the bones here. And there's plenty of water with this. Just build up like a little copse. going into those bluer, slightly more distant trees. But not entirely, we can vary. Like that. Lighter blue. We'll get those coming up here. Just want to establish all these planes. See, those ones will be behind that level. That is at the edge of the field. That is the other side of a lane coming across there. So these are, it's the colour, you use the colours. The blue is the colour for getting things to lay back in the landscape. And if you go wrong, you can always paint over it. But I just want to establish these here. And then we'll do some heavier ones over here. I've got to do the hedgerows, but that'll be maybe tomorrow. Got to open that up a bit. But okay, we're doing all right. So I know you might want to go straight to the finished one, but this is the basis. That's still a bit tacky there because of that KY jelly that I used. I think we could probably have some more fun with that field there while we're at it. Let's get some impasto in there. See, this is already, these are getting slightly, very slightly lumpy, and we can straighten out all this tomorrow. Let's not rush. Be nice to do a masterpiece in half an hour, but with acrylic or oil, you just can't, because it takes so many more brush strokes than watercolour. I haven't stopped doing watercolours, I just stopped doing them for a while because I'm enjoying doing all these. It's all painting, all expressing ourselves with colour. Let's get a nice dark in there, because I can paint lights over those. See what I mean? Oh, there's some nice greens on top of those. This is black. Now, it's not true to say that black punches holes in your picture, because you mix it with other colours. There we are, coming up. Let's oh, just some bits and pieces just catching the light. Okay, I think that's enough for one session. So I'll download it onto my computer, then we can carry on tomorrow. I'll just show you around what we've done so far. So these are where the trees are going to go. I'll justify the building and the shapes of the roofs tomorrow. Background, which looks a bit blue. It looks more blue on the computer than it does in close up, or for me anyway. Let's just move my camera around a bit. Right, let's go down to what we're doing here. This is going to be my ploughed field. Might even put some little shoots on of something. I'll just show a bit of light there. Oops. And there we are, that's that one coming on. Right, well that's thus far. There we are. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.